Edible.
Okay. So we've decided to run a Bhakti Shastri course for the members of the farm. So this is only farm devotees. I said today that maybe I would open it up to a wider audience, but my wife has advised me to keep it just the farm devotees. So anyone who's connected to the farm, we will study together. Alyssa has joined us. Very good to see you. Good to see you. So yeah, this will only be for farm devotees. So it will be a small group. It'll be an intimate group. And what we're studying here is what we call Bhakti Shastri degree. So Srila Prabhupada wanted us to study his books systematically. Did you all receive the link I sent out today with the book, the virtual book? Yeah. Oh, good.
Yes.
Many Guru has it already. So if we go into the book, if you have it with you, we will see that Srila Prabhupada speaks about 4 Shastric degrees, which is on page 14. So if you can find page 14 on your book, which you have virtual, you have that online. So on page 14, it talks about 4 Shastric degrees. So this concept comes from Prabhupada himself. Prabhupada wanted us to study his books and to study them seriously, and not just to study them seriously, but to have exams. So there's going to be exams, and there's going to be study, and there's going to be homework, and there's going to be memorization. Yeah, this is all voluntary. Oh, Nat, how you doing? Haribol, good to see you. This is a nice group. Very nice group. Yeah, so we've got 5 online. We've got 3 in the room. So yeah, this is a very nice group. Andy sends his apologies. Said he's got a very bad headache, so he'll come, but not today. So this concept comes from Srila Prabhupada about studying to get degrees. So we study, we take exams, we do homework, we memorize the verses, because and what I've experienced, because I've been teaching these courses since 2003, so it's like 21 years I've been teaching these courses, and I find that when it's in this systematic way, when it's in this study format, devotees take it seriously, especially around exam time. Everyone gets really serious. I've even had devotees bribe me. I've had devotees bring me gifts right before the exams. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. You're welcome to give me any gift you want. And you're welcome to give them to me now or at exam time, whatever you want. It's going to make no difference to your final mark whatsoever. But you're more than welcome to do it. So the point is that if we do it in a formatted way, it makes everyone more serious about study. Yeah, and Prabhupada wanted us to study his books, as we all know. Yeah, it makes us regulated. So it's very powerful. So on page 14, it says the 4 Shastric degrees. Srila Prabhupada himself presented an outline for the study of scripture, as demonstrated by the following excerpt from one of his letters. So this is 10th of January, 1976. When Srila Prabhupada wrote this letter, I would have been 6 years old, just to put it in context. My dear Swarup Damodar, please accept my blessings. I beg to thank you for your letter dated December 26, 1975. And I've noted the contents carefully. Your plan to have the Bhaktivedanta Summer Institute in one of our farms is a very good idea. Now, this is interesting because we're sitting here. I mean, some of you are in, suburbia, but a number of us are on the farm. One of Prabhupada's visions for the farms was to make them education centers. And my vision when I first got here with money, when we first arrived, Prabhupada, because I studied a lot of Prabhupada's instructions about farms before I got here. And one of the things he talked about was having a Rupanuga Vijapit, which means those who follow Rupa Goswami, the Rupanugas. A Vijapit means a place of learning. Vija's learning. Pit means like a meeting place, like that. So one of the first things I did when I got here, I got all of Prabhupada's books. All right, his books, his conversations, his letters. I wanted an archive because Prabhupada actually writes that if the world shuts down, which, you know, it could happen.
Oh, good.
No, it's going to happen, but whether it happens in our lifetime or not, I don't know, but it's going to happen. Prabhupada said, if we have the books, we can start again. So that's why I got everything here, right? So make sure this never goes anywhere because everything's there actually. That's very, very valuable. That's thousands of dollars of investment.
It's a good example from like when, you know, what had happened not so long ago with the amount of time and effort it took, you know, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur just to find like the CC and some of our big books because they just got lost. Like,
very good.
Like that. So,
Yeah.
you know, in a very recent time, you know, we can see like how easily things can digress just from scripture being forgotten, lost.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, Atulya was pointing out that even in the recent past, you know, Bhaktivinoda Thakur could not find a copy of the Chaitanya Charitamrita for years. You know, so that's why we have to archive Prabhupada's books and we have to have his teachings and we have to keep everything together. Srila Prabhupada, he actually talks about making the farms, Rupanuga Vijapits. One of my ideas, we've never really done it to the level I like to, but at the moment, if you want to study full-time Prabhupada's books, you have to go to Mayapur or Vrindavan, or maybe Radhadesh, yeah, in London, Belgium. There's probably only a few places you can do that. So I've always had the idea that we could do that here. Devotees could come and live here for 3 months and we just do like, you know, 2 classes a day and they study and they clean the Goshala and, you know, practical service, you know, they're not just, you know, it's not just study all day. So that was my idea. And I don't know, maybe in the future it'd be nice. If the new devotees who come to the different temples, they get sent here for 3 months, we just train them, give them classes, you know, train them and all that, and then go back and do your thing.
Feed them really well.
Yeah, yeah, that's one of our visions. That hasn't happened yet, but who knows? Pray for us. The power of prayer is very powerful. And with a group like this, you know, these things could happen. So, Prabhupada says, your plan to have the Bhaktivedanta Summit Institute is in one of our farms is a very good idea. Brahmana means pundit. You know this word pundit? Pundit means learned. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Pandit Sama Darshana, means someone who's learned. Therefore, I am suggesting examinations, Bhakti Shastri, for all the Brahmanas. So before you can become second initiated in ISKCON, the GBC have passed the law now, based on Prabhupada's writings, that you have to have the Bhakti Shastri degree, which is what we're about to begin. So the reason I'm doing this is so that those of you who want to take second initiation, if we do this, then you can become second initiated, because this is one of the qualifications you need. So that's why we're studying it. Who's that? I told him.
You told him about this?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he'll come online if he. So the Bhakti Shastri for all Brahmanas, based on Bhagavad Gita, Sri Isopanisad, Nectar of Devotion, and Nectar of Instruction. And all the small paperbacks. They're not actually included in the course, but you should just read them in your own time. Your Easy Journey to Other Planets, On the Way to Krishna, Coming Back, all of them. You can read them in your own time. So these 4 books, Prabhupada said, are meant to be the 4 pillars of the Bhakti Shastri course. The Isopanisad, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Bhakti Shastri. These are the beginning books. They're actually very advanced. But these are the beginning, which shows how advanced our philosophy. Our philosophy is so advanced. This is where we begin. Other religious traditions, they don't begin where we begin. We begin on a very high level. So we're going to start next week. Today's an orientation class, so we'll just orientate everyone with how this all works. Next week, we will begin the Sri Isopanisad. That'll be our first book, which we will study. So hopefully, have you got copies? Has everyone got copies of Isopanisad? You got?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone got? Yeah, thumbs up. Thumbs down, Nat.
I think everyone would be up to it.
Yeah, I'm just saying we've got to get it done. It'll be online anyway.
Yeah, you can do it.
Yeah, just find it online. Start with that. When you come over, we'll get you one like that. But everyone else, yeah, Isopanisad, you'll need to start reading that. Next week, the first class will be on the introduction. So your homework for this week till next Wednesday will be reading the introduction. So begin studying that. And in each of the books that we're going to study, there are KMVs. KMVs means key memory verses. So verses you have to memorize. You have to memorize the Sanskrit and the English. So for the Isopanisad, it's the invocation verse, which is the first verse, Om Purnam. Yep. And the second verse, the first verse, the invocation verse and the first verse. The first verse is called the Ishavasya verse. Yeah. So some of you might know them already, but they'll be the 2 verses you need to memorize for the exam. Now, I was discussing memorization of verses with my wife Atulia during the week, and she said that the Om Purnam verse, this is sung by Jamuna Devi.
Yes.
Om Purnam dun 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 dun, and yeah, Purna Shah. Yeah, so Bada Bihari Baru and Karnamrita.
Yeah, it's on one of the albums I listened to has a version of it.
Yeah. So one tip, this is a tip for memorizing verses. Some devotees find it hard to memorize the Sanskrit, which is fair enough. It's a foreign language. So maybe if you remind me, I can put the soundbite on the group so everyone can, so everyone can hear how to do it. But one good way to learn is by singing it. Om Purnam dun 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 dun. So if you learn to sing it, it goes into your mind much easier, and you can memorize it. And then you have to remember the English as well. The English is easier because I think most of us speak English. So that's easier, but the Sanskrit can be troubling. So yeah, if you learn different tunes, it can make it easier to do it. And if I'm reminded, I can chant the verse, leave it on the group, and then you can hear it, and then that can maybe also help you.
Especially with pronunciation.
Yeah, with correct pronunciation. So if you remind me, then I'll do that. Okay. Yeah, just remind me. I'll get that done. And then there's only 2 verses for this particular book, Isopanisad. I think the Bhagavad Gita, you have to memorize 27 verses. Hare Krishna. So that's over 18 chapters, and they're in 3 sections. So you'll have time. It won't be 2, but we'll give you the list so that you can.
You got this name.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the exams will be exams that you'll need to write. There's 2 types of exams. One's called closed book and the other one is called open book. So open book means I'll give you topics and you just have to write a 500-word essay on the particular topic. 500 words sounds like a lot. It's only one page.
Yeah.
It's actually not, it's not a lot. You can write more if you want, but it has to be minimum 500 words. And then the other exam will be closed book, which means I'll give you a set of questions and you have to sit like in an exam without a book and just write the answers from memory. Now, the closed book exam, the way I've written the answers is that they are based on the 12 aims of Shastric study, which we'll go through in a few minutes. So they're not, it's not like memorization. It's not like, you know, you have to memorize, I don't know, like Paramatma, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. It's not all memorization. A lot of the Western method of examination in the education system is memorization. And that's not a good system for everyone because we're not all good at remembering things.
Mhm.
Some of us have memories like sieves. So it favors those who can memorize, which is what it does. You know, people who do well in exams, they memorize. And those of us who are not so good at memorizing, we look like we're silly and we don't go well in the exams, but actually we could be very intelligent, but we just learn things differently or we retain things differently. So the way I'm writing these questions is that you have to write the answers and it will test different areas of Shastric aims, which we have, which I'll go through in a few minutes. So there'll be different types of exams, which I'll give you. You don't have to stress. This is not about pressure. This is about enjoying the learning experience of learning Prabhupada's books. However, I've noticed over the years, over 20 years, that devotees get stressed whenever there's exams. So good, because it purifies the heart. And I've been through the exams myself. I had to do the exams for the Bhakti Shastra to get my Bhakti Shastra. You know, and when I did it, actually, it was a 6-hour exam. So you guys aren't going to get, I know that it would be right, but you're going to get it spaced over time, whereas I had to do it all in one shot. And, you know, writing for 6 hours, my hand was cramping. And
I had to do a similar thing for initiation, like an equivalent exam.
yeah. Yeah, it's two. So anyway, we're going to space it out. So we'll make it as easy as we can, but it will be challenging as well. Because if you don't get challenged, you don't learn. So that's why we have to make it challenging as well. So Prabhupada said there's the Bhakti Shastri, and then he says Bhakti Vaibhav, which is the first 6 cantos of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which I taught between 2005 and 2012,
Maybe.
I think.
No, that's not that, wasn't it?
No, that was just the Bhakti Vaibhav. Then there was Bhakti Vedanta.
Ah,
Yeah, but Bhakti Vaibhav, I think it was 2005 to 2012. We taught that. And then we taught Bhakti Vedanta, which is the canto 7 to 12. And we did that from 2013, till 2020 or 21 or something. We did that. And now we're teaching the Bhakti Sarvabhauma course, which is the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which I was teaching the last 2 nights in Melbourne, which is nectar. It is Amrita. It is the sweetest nectar, the Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's beyond all scriptures. So these titles can correspond to entrance, BA, MA, PhD. So just consider how to organize this institute. At Mayapur, we shall finalize everything. I hope this meets you well. Your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Right? So Prabhupada wanted us to get these degrees. Once you get these degrees, you can then receive the title, Bhakti Shastri. So when you introduce yourself, you can say BS.
Yes.
Maybe don't say that, but you can say I am Bhakti Shastri Manigriva Das, or I am Bhakti Shastri Vishnujan Das. Or, like Prabhupada was A.C. Bhakti Vedanta. So you can use these titles. None of us do. I've got 3 of the titles. I've got Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, and Bhakti Vedanta. So I've got 3 of the titles, but I never go around saying to people, my name is Bhakti Vedanta Keshava Das. Although I could say that, because Prabhupada says you get the title. And Prabhupada actually said the Bhakti Vedanta is the family title. Prabhupada was given that title by his godbrothers, Bhakti Vedanta, which means someone who's very learned. And he said all of us should also get the family name, so that, we're all part of the, like Mr. Patel and Sons. If you go to India, all over the place, there's Mr. Patel and Sons, or Mr. Agarwal and Sons.
Do you get when you finish the CC?
Bhakti Sarvabhauma.
Oh,
That's beyond what Prabhupada's.
No, when Prabhupada was,
I know.
he had all the,
Prabhupada, but
he was just given that title, but
the
no one's
Bhattacharya.
ever had that before, have they?
Sarvabhauma,
Bhattacharya.
yeah, it's just coming now. Like people are just
It's now coming.
studying it, yeah. Okay, so what's next? Page 16. Page 16 talks about, actually, just now that we're discussing it, Melbourne Temple is instituting, or has been instituting for 20 years, all of these different levels of degree, all the different degrees. And now we're teaching all 4 of the degrees now in Melbourne. I think Melbourne might be the only temple in ISKCON, possibly, that is doing all 4 degrees. There would only be a very few places that are doing this. Yeah, I don't think they teach the degrees. I don't think you get the certificates. You study the books, but I don't think you get the certificates. I'm not sure. So it'd be very few who are doing that. And in Melbourne, Prabhupada actually writes in one letter that there's a 5th element to the Bhakti Shastri, which is a module on deity worship. So that's just being created and implemented now in Melbourne. So what we'll do is when we get to the end, which I'm estimating this should take 2 years, so please stick around. It should take 2 years. So after 2 years, if we finish the 4 books, if the module's ready, we might do a module on deity worship as well. And then you'll know how to worship the deity, in a authorized way, which is something you'll need to know, because if you take Brahmin initiation, you'll be able to worship the deity.
Would it be the same course that like Shinga Kavata taught?
It'll be,
got the book on that.
yeah, it'll be based on that. And it will be a certain amount of that in terms of the elements. It may not be the entire course, but yeah, it'll definitely be some of it. Okay, so page 16, Srila Prabhupada talks about, Prabhupada says a quote here by Prabhupada. He says, if you have no goal, it is simply useless. There is the example, a man without any purpose is like a ship without a rudder. An airplane normally goes with an aim to land in some country. But if he flies on without any known destination, then there will be a disaster. So with an aim, without an aim, what is the use of practice? Now, this is coming from Prabhupada himself. We need to have aims, as we know. The Melbourne Temple at the moment is doing strategic planning. Why? Because we need to have aims. And we're also doing this at Hare Krishna Valley now. Strategic planning. We need aims. Shastric study is like that as well. We need to know what we're aiming for. That's why we study the Shastra. And Prabhupada wanted it done systematically. So that's why we're doing it in this way. So the overall purpose of Shastric study. So this document which I gave you, this is from what we call the VTE. The VTE is the Vaishnav Training and Education System. VTE. It's actually, I don't know if it actually exists anymore, the VTE. It may, but I don't know if it did, but it existed when I started 20 years ago. But there were devotees. There was a Prabhupada disciple called Rasamandala Prabhu who developed all of this, and with the help of others. And he taught me and others the systematic way of teaching Prabhupada's books. So it's what he called the Vaishnav training and education system. So the overall purpose of systematic Shastric study, it says here, this is like the mission statement of Shastric study in ISKCON. To nurture the evolution of a Brahminical Krishna conscious leadership, whose members are expert in the study and assimilation of Shastric knowledge, and are proficient in its application in their own lives, in helping others, and in perpetuating the mission of Srila Prabhupada. So that's our aim. That's why we're studying the Shastra, right? To nurture the evolution of Brahminical Krishna conscious leadership, to make us Brahmanas, right? Or at least Brahminical in our qualities, which means developing all spiritual qualities. When you study Prabhupada's books, you develop spiritual qualities. Just like our friend Prana Prabhu, who is a natural Brahmana. I went to see him yesterday. He just received his visa to go to India. He's leaving on Sunday. And his wife, Chandrakoti, because her parents are Chinese, there was a hold up in her getting her visa. So it looked like she had to wait 2 months. And I was sitting in the room with them, and she got the text from the visa place saying, your visa is ready. So she's leaving with him on Sunday to go to Mayapur. So he's a natural Brahmana. This is what we should become. It doesn't mean we'll all do deity worship like it's our full-time service, but it means we have to have the qualities of a Brahmana. How do you get the qualities? By studying Prabhupada's books. It's the most effective way. You look at someone like Prana Prabhu, he has these Brahminical qualities. Why? He's known for his study of Prabhupada's book. He's very learned in studying Prabhupada's books. So Prabhupada wanted us to become Brahmanas and expert in the study and assimilation of Shastric knowledge. Prabhupada said we should know his books like the lawyer knows the law book or the Christian knows the Bible. When you meet Christians and they say John 8:16, and then they go, so we should be like that. We should say Bhagavad Gita 2:41 or Bhagavad Gita 10:8 or Bhagavad Gita 18:65, and then we can bring it out. So we should become learned. If we're learned, then we can help others become Krishna conscious, and it's the best way to become Krishna conscious yourself. There's no better way to become Krishna conscious than to study Prabhupada's books. And one thing I've noticed over the years, I was talking to Atuya today, we're discussing, when you become a devotee, you become a counselor, and to some degree a therapist. People come to you, they want advice, they want counseling, they want therapy. We didn't sign up for this. When I joined, they didn't say, one day you're going to be a counselor and a therapist. It just happens. People come to you and they want that. So one thing I've noticed over the years, when devotees come for advice and counseling and therapy and support, one thing I noticed that devotees who struggle a lot don't read Prabhupada's books. Devotees who don't struggle a lot read Prabhupada's books. So there's basically two camps in ISKCON. Those who read Prabhupada's books a lot, those who don't, and those who do, they don't struggle so much. Everyone struggles, but not so much. And those who don't read Prabhupada's books, they struggle. Because quite often devotees come and they start saying, I've got this problem, I've got that problem. I say, do you read Prabhupada's books? I haven't been reading. Start reading Prabhupada's books, right? It cleanses the heart, right? It makes you fixed in Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada says you become expert in study and assimilation of the philosophy. And you become proficient in its application in your own life, in helping others, and to keep Prabhupada's mission going. So that's the mission statement for Shastric study.
And defeating atheistic or personless. I read through that.
Yep.
Today, it's something about that. I think it's further in this context. one of the modules, one aspect of it is you need to be able to establish arguments drawn from reference of Shastra. You know, when people challenge you, which would be challenged, which we are challenged,
Mm, mm.
you know, with people's
Arguments. Yeah, so Atuli is making the point that we need to study the Shastra so that we can defeat opposing arguments. People will come and they'll argue. Sometimes when I'm giving a Sunday feast talk, for example, people will argue with us. That's okay. They've got a different opinion. Usually when I debate with them, yeah, the room of vegans, or, you know, usually when I debate with them, it's not for their benefit so much because they're already convinced in their argument, but it's for the benefit of everyone else listening. Because then they hear, oh, this is our opinion, right? And then they become convinced. So we have to learn these so we can defeat opposing arguments. Prabhupada liked to argue. He liked to debate. Prabhupada said, you have your opinion, we have ours, let's debate. And Prabhupada could not be defeated. He was a very powerful debater. So on page 17 and 18, we'll hear about the 12 aims of Shastric study. These are very important because, as we said, a lot of study in different educational institutions, it's based on memory and recall, right? Just memorizing. So that's one element of learning, but there's much more to it. So Rasamandala Prabhu and the other devotees, they broke down 12 items or 12 aims of studying Prabhupada's books. So this is on page 18. So there is knowledge, understanding, personal application, preaching application, faith and conviction, authority, theological application, evaluation, mood and mission, academic and moral integrity, responsibility for learning, and Shastra Chakshush. So these 12 aims, this is what you will be examined on. When I write the exam, I've actually already written them. I wrote them 20 years ago, and I actually couldn't find them. So one devotee, Sri Krishna Prabhu, I wrote to him and I said, have you got my exams? And he sent them to me the other day. So I've got them all there. So I'll give you the exams, which we wrote a long time ago. They're based on the 12 aims of Shastric study. So when I ask you a question, it's not just memory. One of the questions will be personal application, right? How will you apply this to your life? Right? How will you apply it? This is personal application, right? How do you apply this philosophy to your life, right? We don't just read the books. You've got to do something with it. It's not like theoretical knowledge. Like, the Bhagavad Gita, they study it in universities. Priyadananda Maharaj, who's one of the great scholars in our movement, and he's academically inclined and he deals with the scholars. He says they sit around smoking cigars, drinking cognac, discussing the Bhagavad Gita. So there's no practical application. It's all theoretical. Because Bhagavad Gita is teaching us to control our senses, and they're not doing that. So therefore, they're not practically applying it to themselves. So the first aim of Shastric study is knowledge. And on page 17, it says, knowledge helps us to memorize and recall the theoretical knowledge, which forms the foundation of our ongoing progress in Krishna consciousness. So we have to memorize things. We have to memorize the verses. You have to memorize 2 verses, right? That's memory. You need to do that. That's part of learning, right? But it's not the goal of the learning, right? Because people can memorize things, but there's much more to it than just memorization. So that's the first thing you'll be examined on. Secondly, there is understanding. Understanding means to deepen the student's understanding of the Krishna conscious theology, particularly through studying it from a wide range of perspectives and through developing thoughtfulness and introspection. So do you understand it? So we can give you the knowledge, but now you have to explain it to someone else.
So that counteracts fanaticism.
Yeah, because you see in other religious traditions, they're very fanatical,
Yeah,
but they don't have a real understanding.
they
of it.
haven't realised, they haven't realised
Yeah.
knowledge. They don't realise the practical application and how it impacts your life on a daily basis.
Yeah, so just because they have the knowledge doesn't mean they understand it or realize it. So understanding means you can explain it to someone else, right? And there'll be questions on your exams where you have to explain it. Okay. Now you explain it. Prabhupada said, explain the philosophy in your words.
Is that the Shastra Chakshush?
No, that's further on. This is understanding the second one. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was realization you're talking.
Realization is one at the end. Yeah, but understand. Okay, so we're saying understanding on a beginning level, but yeah, it goes to realization. That's much higher. That means actually realizing, like realizing your relationship with Krishna. You know, we're talking about being able to explain the knowledge to someone else in your words. What makes a good class? When someone gives, you know, we hear classes all the time. What makes a good class?
Personal realization.
Yeah, when someone explains it in their words. Yeah, otherwise you can just read, like someone just, you know, reading virtually. That's not a good class. I don't find them stimulating at all. Just like a couple of weeks ago, I was in Melbourne, and then Prabhav Prabhu was supposed to give class on Tuesday morning. I give class usually every second Tuesday at the temple. And then he was giving on the other Tuesday. He couldn't give. So one of the devotees said to me, can you give tomorrow? I said, yeah, sure. I'll give class. He said, oh, it's such and such verse. I said, you don't have to tell me the verse. Right? I don't prepare for the morning classes. I just turn up and I just speak. Right? And the advantage of that is that then I speak my own words. And that's what makes the class interesting. You know, because I could just do a ton of preparation. I'm not saying don't prepare for classes. I'm not saying that. Like, you know, when I give the class in the evening at the temple, I do, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 hours preparation because there's a lot there to discuss. So I have to be prepared. But, you know, Prabhupada says we should know the philosophy so well, we can sit down at a minute's notice and give a class. You know, that's how much we know. You know, and that's, you know, I can do that now because I've been studying now for over 30 years. I can do that now. Devotees say, can you give class? I say, yeah, no problem. I'll sit down. You know, it happened to me in Mayapur a few years ago. You know, I was actually in bed. I went to bed at 8:30, 8:45, someone rang on the phone, my friend, Hare Krishna Prabhu. And he said, can you give class tomorrow? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I just hung up the phone and went back to sleep. Because it was, you know, 8:45, I was already half asleep. I woke up in the morning and I thought, oh my God, I have to give class in Mayapur. Yeah, it's not like in Melbourne. You know? So, you know, I came in and I actually found out what the verse was, you know, and I did a little bit of preparation during my japa time. And then I turned up to give class, you know, and I chanted Jai Radha Madhavan, and the whole time I was a little bit nervous because, you know, in Mayapur, the world headquarters. So, you know, I was chanting Jai Radha Madhava with my eyes closed for 2 or 3 minutes, open my eyes after chanting Jai, and then there's a sannyasi sitting like 6 feet in front of me, you know, with his danda, like sitting right there. Hanuma Prashek Swami. And Jananivas Prabhu and Pankajangri Prabhu, my Shiksha gurus. You know, so it was quite daunting actually. You know, and then I really prayed to Krishna. I said, please help me because I have to speak now, you know, to these devotees, you know. So we should be ready to sit down in a minute's notice and give a class. But of course we should prepare, but sometimes, you know, we may not have time to prepare or something like that. So we need to have a deep understanding of our philosophy. The third aim of our study is personal application. To help students apply the Krishna conscious theology with reference to their external practices, their inner development, and to help them develop appropriate Vaishnava qualities and behavior. So some of the questions you'll be asked will be, how would you apply this in your life? Practically tell us. What will you do from now on? You know, how will you modify or improve your practices of Krishna consciousness? Personal application, right? We want you to be able to personally apply what we study in your day-to-day life to make you a better devotee. That's why we study. So you can personally apply all these things. Next is preaching application. To enhance devotees' desire and ability to preach effectively. So some of the questions you'll get will be, a guest challenges you. A guest says such and such. How do you respond? And then you have to preach to the guest to convince him about Krishna based on what you've been studying in the Isopanisad. So this will be part of your, we want to see, how do you preach? Number 5, faith and conviction. To help build and maintain a student's faith and conviction in the process of Krishna consciousness and Shastra as its foundation. So the process of Krishna consciousness, right? We study to develop our faith. You know, the more we study Prabhupada's books, the more faith we'll have, the more convinced we'll become. You know, that's why we have to study Prabhupada's books. What's the difference between a Majjhima Adhikari and an Uttama Adhikari? A Majjhima Adhikari has deep faith, but he may not be able to reference certain points. An Uttama Adhikari, he has deep faith, but he can tell you where it says this, where it says that in the Shastra. Right? So we have to become learned. So we can say to people, oh, it says there in the Bhagavad Gita, it says this. Sometimes you hear devotees say, oh, Prabhupada said. And then you say, where did Prabhupada say that? I was up at New Govardhan a couple of years ago, and one devotee's telling me, Prabhupada said. I said, where did Prabhupada say that? Show me. Where did Prabhupada say that? You know, so we have to learn these things so that we can be authoritative when we speak. Number 6, authority. To simultaneously cultivate within devotees wholehearted acceptance of the spiritual authority of Shastra, a mood of open and honest inquiry, and a desire to factually understand and realize the import of Vedic knowledge. So to develop faith in authority. What's one of the biggest problems we have now in the modern world? People have lost faith in authority. You know, we're discussing, Tori was shared a article with me the other day. People are going away from Christianity or churchianity at this point in time. One of the reasons they're doing that is because they've lost faith in their authorities. So, you know, we want to have faith in our authorities. So we have to cultivate Krishna consciousness so we have faith in our authority. And we have to become good authorities so people have faith in us. So people will listen to us. Because when someone's faith is broken, it's so hard to get it back, to mend their faith. So we have to develop good faith in our authority and become a good authority also. Number 7 is theological application. To help create learned Vaishnavas, theologians who are expert in assisting the society through application of Shastric knowledge to a wide range of personal, social, moral, topical, and theological issues. You'll be asked in your exam to write on theological application, which means how would you present it to the outside world? Not to the devotees, but what about all the people outside? Right? Because you will have to do this sometimes. You might, someone might ring you and say, can you write an article for the Age newspaper? So how are you going to answer the questions? You have to know how to deal with it. Yeah, our theology is very deep, but how do we apply it to the outside world?
And relatable language.
And relatable language. Yeah, you can't say, oh, you know, we're not Mayavadis. That doesn't mean anything to anyone. You know, what was the first thing we did when we got here? I changed the front sign. It used to say New Nandagram, right? That's a nice name, but most of the world has no idea what New Nandagram is. So the first thing we did when we got here, we called it Hare Krishna Valley, because at least people got some idea. Oh, that must be where the Hare Krishnas are. And it's a valley. Oh, yeah, it is. It actually is a valley. Yeah. So, yeah, it makes more sense to people. So we need to learn how to give it to the rest of the world. So you'll be examined on that also. Then there is, number 8 is evaluation. To develop students' analytical, interpretive, and evaluative skills, particularly in respect of the practical application of Shastric knowledge. So evaluation means you have to weigh up both sides, because there's always two sides, right? There's this side and there's that side. As devotees, sometimes we have to weigh up both sides. Someone will see it like this, someone will see it like that. So now we have to evaluate how to bring it together. So we need to have that skill of evaluation, because some devotees. I remember Brajabi Hariprabhu, he wrote an article a number of years ago. He called it Pizza and Bakoras. Because a lot of devotees in our movement want to modernize our movement, right? And bring it into the modern world, right? That's pizza, right? It's a modern thing. It's not there in the Vedas. You never hear of pizza, right? But then there's the devotees who are Bakora. Keep everything as it has been. Don't change anything. So we have to learn to evaluate both sides. So this is evaluation. Evaluation means we need to learn how to evaluate everything in our lives so that we can bring the ancient teachings into the modern world. And who was the most expert at that? It was Prabhupada. There was no such thing as a brahmacharini before Prabhupada arrived in America in 1965. Prabhupada invented that word. There's no word, brahmacharini. It's not anywhere in the Vedas. Right? But Prabhupada, he gave second initiation to his male disciples, and his female disciples came to him and they said, that's not fair. They said, we're not coming anymore. Right? And then Prabhupada changed, he evaluated, both sides, the tradition and the modern application of the tradition, and then he amalgamated the two. He didn't water it down, but he adjusted things. Time, place, and circumstance. And for the first time in history, we have female brahmanas, Dvijas, who have taken second initiation, who can worship the deity, who can do all these things. It wasn't there before. So it's interesting how to evaluate these things.
And Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur did that with Shudras and the caste system.
That was already there, but he fought that very hard. Number 9, mood and mission. This is a very powerful aim, especially for the teachers of these courses, to facilitate devotees in understanding and appreciate the mood and mission of Prabhupada, perpetuating that understanding within the society and the members. One of the reasons we study these courses and the books is so we increase our desire to preach, to get the mood, the missionary spirit. We're not here for ourselves, right? I moved into the temple, a number of years ago. I thought I was just going to meditate and stuff. It didn't last very long. I think after 4 days, they said, go to Crossways. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then one devotee said to me, he said, if you really want to make spiritual advancement, do Sankirtan. And I'm like, okay, I'll do it. What is it? I didn't even know what it was. What is it? He said, book distribution, Sankirtan. I'm like, okay, what is it? Teach me. Because that's the mood, that's the mission of Lord Chaitanya. The mood, the mission. Right? Give it to everyone. Right? Sankirtan, Sankirtan Yajna. So that's why we study. So we develop that mood that Prabhupada had. Give it to others, give it to others, give it to others. Prabhupada said, distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. Number 10, academic and moral integrity. To ensure that devotees develop moral and academic integrity in the interpretation, evaluation, and application of Shastric knowledge. So you have to have good morals, good moral integrity. If you're a devotee, you have to show the highest moral integrity. And I see devotees who don't study Prabhupada's books, they slip in this area. Therefore, we have to study Prabhupada's books. So we develop good moral integrity and academic integrity. Academic integrity means We don't water down the message, right? We don't change things. People try to change Prabhupada's teachings, right? They try to adjust it. But actually, academic integrity means we should become learned so we can say to someone, excuse me, Prabhupada never said that. Prabhupada didn't do that. You can't just start adjusting things. So we have to understand Prabhupada's mood, right? And we have to have academic and moral integrity. Number 11, responsibility for learning. Actually, in some places, it's realization is that one. So I'm not sure. Anyway, it'll be realization or responsibility for learning. To encourage students to take responsibility for their learning and develop healthy study habits by enhancing their desire to read Prabhupada's books and equipping them with the appropriate learning skills. So we teach you how to write books. IHG in Vrindavan in 1991, and they taught us how to study Prabhupada's books systematically.
Yes, that's further down on page 24, but also to help promote sort of self-reliance. So then, you know, you're steadier, you're firmer in your own rather than dependent on, because, you know, you can sort of go anywhere if you've got it within you rather than.
Yeah, so by studying together, that's why we're studying together like this, because that will enthuse us to study when we're not together. Right? So it teaches us the good habits so that we'll read. And number 12 is Shastra Chakshush, which sometimes is also called realization, to equip students with the ability to see through the eyes of Shastra and with a Krishna conscious worldview, ultimately to assist the students in realizing scripture and in seeing Krishna at all times and all places. So that's the goal. Our goal is to see Krishna face to face. That's the goal.
Always Krishna.
Yeah, and actually to see him, just like we're seeing each other, right? To see Krishna. I was actually thinking that today. I was in Warren Ponds, but just at one moment, I just thought, you know, I started meditating on Krishna, and then I thought, imagine if I saw him now walking like this through the shopping center. And I just thought, you know, imagine, you know, like that. It only came temporarily in my consciousness, but that's how we should become, to the point where we just want to see him all the time, right? And then we get to the point where suddenly one day he goes, he's there. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, imagine if he came. It says when you do see him, you faint. So, you know, Warren Ponds may be the best place or not the best place to pass out. But the point is, that's the goal. And the goal is to see Krishna. So the rest of the study guide, it's about a 90-page study guide, I think. There's some good information in there regarding the various books which we'll be studying. So you can go through it during this week, familiarize yourself with it. And next Wednesday at this time, 7:30, then we will begin studying the Isopanisad. So your homework is to read the introduction this week. If you want to take notes, read the introduction, become familiar with it, and then we'll discuss it next week. And start learning your 2 verses which you need to learn, which is the invocation and verse 1. So you'll have a number of weeks to do it, but start learning it now. One tip I can give you with my study is that in the modern educational system, a lot of people cram, which is just what everyone does. You know, last 3 days, you know the exam's coming, you go crazy. It's better, and I know we've all done it, and we all probably still do it, but it's better to start now. Learn the verses now, start studying now, start going through it all now, right? And then you'll be so well equipped when you get to the exam, it won't be so difficult. So that's up to you how you want to do it, or wait for the last 3 days and then stay up all night reading the Isopanisad. That's your choice. So if you go through the back, there's some nice nice information on the Isopanisad on pages 58, 59, 60, 61, 62. You can go through that yourself, but you can have a look, and then that will.
We're doing in a different order to what's in this book because module 1 is Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, I didn't start with the Gita when I did it.
I didn't start with the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah. So what I think, you can all tell me what you want and we can facilitate your desires. What I would probably do, we'll do Isopanisad first. Yeah, and then I think maybe we'll do Nectar of Instruction and then Nectar of Devotion and then Bhagavad Gita. And thumbs are going up. So, okay, that looks like that could be, okay, a lot of thumbs are going up. So if everyone's into that, we can do that. And then we can do the Gita.
Shruti Kundala and Vishnu Jana into that?
Yeah, they've got thumbs up. Angelina's got thumbs up. Nat's got thumbs up. Okay, so we'll do that. Yeah, so we'll do money.
Kartik.
Yeah, Kartik. I'll be away in November. So we'll have to have a break. So we'll work it out, but we'll get, what is it now? August, September, October. We've got 3 months. So we'll definitely get Isopanisad done and we'll see. Maybe we'll get Nectar of Instruction started or done. We'll just have to see.
It'd be nice to be a Nectar of Devotion.
Yeah, okay. Okay. We'll work it out. We'll work it out as a group. We'll do it. Well, it should take 2 years to finish the 4 books. So, we'll start now and then it should take that time. Nectar, when I taught it last time, which was a long time ago, Nectar of Instruction was actually my favorite book to study, and Nectar of Devotion. They're very blissful, very ecstatic. So I think we'll do them next. So.
Just with the 12th aim, what does that actually mean, Shastra?
Yeah, Chakshush means vision. Yeah. So literally, Shastra Chakshush, which is the 12th aim of Shastric study, means to literally see with the eyes of Shastra. So it's not theoretical anymore. Like you're actually doing it. Like when it says you're not your body, you actually see. People as spirit soul. So that's the highest level of realization. And when you eventually see Krishna himself. So that's actually.
So you see the eyes, what?
Chakshush means vision, and Shastra means Shastra. So it means seeing through Shastra. So it's not theoretical anymore. It's actually real. Do any of our online devotees, do any of you have any questions or any comments? Nope.
I do.
Yep, Alyssa, yep.
Thank you so much for tonight.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you, every Wednesday, how long will our session will take? Is it about an hour or more?
1 hour.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I just need to
Yeah,
reorganize myself. That's all. Thank you.
Yeah. 7:30 to 8:30. Short and sweet.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, because in Melbourne I teach, well, actually now it's an hour. In the past it was an hour and a half. But we're all busy. All you guys are working, and even to get devotees to study the scriptures in Kali Yuga is hard. What to speak of, classes go on and on and on, so like that. So yeah, we'll be short and sweet. Like that. So. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Such a nice group. I'm very enthused about this. My nature is to invite the whole world, but I think we'll keep this to a very small, intimate group like that. So it'll be nice like that. And if any of you are at the farm on a Wednesday, you can join us live. And maybe we'll see, maybe the farm devotees can come to your houses on a Wednesday night and we'll do it there. Or maybe not. We'll see.
Vishnu Jana will take you up on that.
Yeah, we've got 2 thumbs up from them.
Yeah.
They're all putting thumbs up. Okay. Okay, good to see you. We'll see you again. Hare Krishna.
Oh.
Haribo.
Haribo, thank
Thank
you.
you. Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
So enthusing.
Haribo.
Haribo.
See you soon.
She'll be the last one.
See you on Saturday morning.
Haribo. See you soon.
See you Saturday morning.
Yeah, see you Saturday morning.
Yeah.
There's 15 people in the retreat.
Okay.
Us, all of us. So cook for about 20, 23, something like that.
All gluten free, vegan.
Yeah, there's a couple of gluten-free and a couple of vegan.
Okay.
Yeah, a few of each.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Haribo.
Haribo, haribo.
Thank you.
See you soon.
See you.
I forgot what